Charlie Goldsmith joins us to talk NFL draft coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I'm Ace, he's Zim. Bengals are a few days away from the NFL draft. They had some things to say today, things about players, things about the draft. So we brought in Charlie Goldsmith to talk about that. But before we get into that, toss it to my partner, Zim. How you doing today, Zim?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm just working like every other day, and I feel really good about everything. We had some really good news, pop up, and got some questionable news too. So we're gonna see how this goes, and I'm really glad we got Charlie on here tonight to make sure that we stay on top of all of that. Without any further ado, let's get our guest Charlie in here right now, and let's talk ball. Let's talk basketball, football. We were talking everything behind the scenes just now. So, however you want to do this, how you doing, bro?
No, we're doing great. Hey, Sim, great to be back. And hey, look, Charlie Goldsmith. If I'm in the same conversation as him, I'm honored. You got Charlie Clifford here, big red dog. Woof, woof, woof. So no harm, no foul. I owe you guys. So thank you for having me back on. You don't need me here. You guys do a great job covering everything that's happening. But I'm glad I'm here tonight because I'm with you. We heard some surprises today. It wasn't as, this can be a boring day. A lot of times they aren't going to tell you anything ahead of the draft, who they're going to pick, who they're targeting. But with all the changes specifically on the defensive side of the ball, I think we have a lot to talk about.
Right. Let's get right into that part, though. Let's talk about some of those changes on the defensive side of the ball. You were there asking a lot of questions, getting right in there and talking to guys. What were your impressions, or what are some things that we could take away from some of those headlines for guys returning on their first day of voluntary workouts?
Zim, Ace, there's just a new energy on defense. And I know many of you, right? That's what we expected. They cleaned out the whole coaching staff with the exceptions of Jordan Kovacs and Chuck Burks in the secondary. But just getting a few minutes with Logan Wilson in the middle of the day, hearing how he thinks things are going to change kind of from Jump Street, hearing Joseph Osai just really say, this isn't a slight at Lou Anarumo, but there's just a different level of detail with Al Golden. Already, this is April 21st, and he's already saying this guy is a detail guy. We are, drilling into details. And of course, really until phase 2, they really can't get together with the whole staff to get this thing rolling. But I think if you hear from those two, and then guys like Jordan Battle and Cam Taylor-Britt, who are looking to bounce back, who are looking to solidify themselves with second contracts here approaching quickly, to me, it just sounded and looked like a defense that needed a fresh start, and they're going to get it with Al Golden, who by all accounts is like the hardest worker in the building. They have not been able to keep this guy away from work since the day he was hired. He just sets a certain pace that even amongst, these guys who work all the time, it's just he just does it differently. So by all accounts, he's off to a really nice start.
Did you get any sense of the Jermaine Pratt thing from players or anyone there?
I didn't. Tobin was asked about it. He said essentially, he's not sure what the future holds. I think it's a thing where, look, a lot of teams are looking for linebackers in the draft. There's going to be a couple teams that probably don't get who they wanted. And will that mean the Bengals phone line will start lighting up after the draft to see, okay, hey, we're interested in bringing in this vet? Or could there be a reconciliation where the Bengals are one of those teams that realize, you know what, we didn't land the linebacker maybe we had circled, and now it's time to revisit things. So to me, my gut says still he's on a different team to start next year. But until it's done, you never know.
That's how I feel too. I feel like they're like in this mode where kind of like when Andy Dalton and Burrow and they were on the roster, or Dalton was on the roster. Then they had to make sure that they got the quarterback and everything went smooth. And then once that happened, then they did what they had to do. Were there anyone? The one of the other takeaways that I got from some of the stuff today was I was expecting Dax Hill to be the slot cornerback coming up. Did you get any information from that? I know there were a couple of different quotes I've seen flying around the internet, and then also Dax Hill's recovery process.
Yeah, let's start with the recovery. I think, look, this has been a grind. We hear ACL in 2025 and just think, that it's like getting a paper cut or something. I mean, this has been a grind for him behind the scenes. I know, like last year, Tyson Anderson, DJ Ivey, they kind of had that group to push through together, right? And just from a human nature standpoint, you're kind of on the same trajectory, pushing through. That's got to help. I mean, Dax has kind of had to do this by himself a little bit. He looked and sounded great today. There were no murmurs of, behind schedule or anything. But I think before we anoint him nickel or outside, I mean, you have to give this guy the benefit of the doubt to get his legs back under him. You saw what happened with the Awuzie. Granted, he was later in his career. It's not the easiest thing to have this injury and then just jump back on the outside and play against the best athletes in the world. So I don't get a sense that this has been decided, Newton or Hill, in terms of replacing Hilton at nickel. And honestly, do you feel strong enough about what they have outside if you walk into Dax in April and say, hey, give me your playbook back, you're not going outside anymore? And then you're looking at CTB and Turner, who's coming off his own injury. I mean, there's definitely some depth questions there of, I guess the blanket answer is they're going to need everybody at every spot. I just don't see, you're going to need both on the inside at some point, right? I mean, you're playing 17 games, but you're right. Who has the early leg up? I don't know if they've really shown their hand just yet, but Newton and Hill, I would think, that they'll each get a shot to fight for it, I would think.
Did you get any sense of how people feel about Germaine Burton, especially with him being there for off-season activities?
Yeah, I mean, hey, he's there. He had a smile on his face. The wide receivers are sitting around chopping it up. He's part of those conversations. It's nothing that caught the eye out of the norm. It sounds like, to this point, he's had a smooth off season. But it's very clear from the comments we heard at the combine. I mean, he has some trust to regain here. I think that's putting it lightly, and you can only do that over time. I think there's a lot of time ahead of us here before that ball is kicked off in early September. So I just get a sense that that's kind of a day-by-day, week-by-week thing. And obviously with where he was picked, I mean, he's still on the team for a reason because of how much they invested in him last year and where he was selected. So we'll see where that one goes.
I guess one of the other things is let's talk about the draft. Did you get a sense from anyone today, like what's the direction? What do you think they're doing? I know that everybody's kind of throwing out a little bit of smoke here and there. One of my takeaways is Tobin talking about getting out of it or getting more picks. Do you think that that's real?
I do. When you look at the last two drafts, they've essentially kept everyone. And I know that will change this year because they're going to, it's going to turn over here at some point, but I do think that's a real possibility. Whether that's in the first round, I'm not so sure because, I mean, one of the other comments today was, rookie starter on defense, kind of downplaying the need for that. I mean, to me, between edge, between the interior, and between linebacker, I don't know how they wouldn't have one rookie starter at one of those spots. I guess unless a McKinley Jackson or a Chris Jenkins really pops off the tape here at camp. But regardless, no, I personally think defense. What do you guys think? I just can't see this first rounder being a non-defensive player.
Has to be defense, bro. I mean, that defense was pretty ugly last season. I think.
Hold on. You said has to be defense. What if a tackle that you love, like Banks, like someone, I don't know how you feel about him, but like say the Bengals, like
I wouldn't be opposed to Banks because obviously he's going to protect Joe Burrow. But I think if it's not a tackle, like it has to be, and I think that's a tackle that can play guard, right? Because this guy has to be playing this season. We can't do the whole red shirt or orange shirt year. I guess we'll call it the orange shirt year that the Bengals like to do and put somebody out there. I think that it has to be defense if it's not that. Like it just has to be. I think edge rush is a concern, especially with the Trey Hendrickson situation. 3-tech, they haven't really gotten right. Really, honestly, since Larry Ogunjobi left. So that's just something that they got to take care of.
I have no rebuttal there. I mean, I'm with you. If 17's not defense, I'll whatever you want to wager on that.
Are you gonna shotgun some Skyline chili?
There you go. I'm down the block. Call it in. I'll send it to Orlando. I'll send it to DC. Whatever you need.
Shotgun and Skyline is crazy. I don't know, man. I think the board will present itself a defensive talent for sure. I just think that there might be a crazy scenario. You know, you talk about like BPA, you know, I don't know how I wouldn't personally pick a tight end over him, but there's two really good tight ends that are in that mold that have a chance to be there. There's a linebacker that I like that I want more than anything. Have you heard anything about Jahad Campbell in the locker room or in the walls of Paycor Stadium?
No, I mean, you want to be careful outside of asking players like, hey, you crossed paths with this guy. What do you know? You know, what do you know about him? At the end of the day, there's only so many jobs in that room. And the more you're gushing over, oh, have you heard about this rookie? I mean, especially with the same position group, that just, you know, human nature kicks in, right, at some point. So you really don't want to go there, especially this week after the fact. You know, who knows? We might hear from that room saying, oh, we needed this guy. You know, we all were talking about this guy behind the scenes. He'd be a perfect fit. But I know he comes very highly regarded, and I wouldn't put the odds too high on that happening here. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, Charlie Clifford, my bad, my apologies. I butchered your name. Sorry about that so bad. Please let the people know where they can find your stuff and where they can follow you at, and of course, where they can hear your thoughts on the draft and everything like that.
No, I appreciate it. I'm at NBC5 here in Cincinnati. So if you're rolling through town, if you're watching here at home, please keep an eye on us. We'll be with you throughout the final pick on Saturday. I'm just Char_Cliff on Twitter. And thank you guys again for having me on. I love following along, and anytime I'm here. So let's see how this plays out, and then we'll get into OTAs and go from there.
You got to get back to those Cliff Notes when we do. Hey, look, you got to trademark that. You come back with the Cliff Notes, and I feel like people are going to be waiting for the Cliff Notes. If y'all don't know, y'all need to really check when camp comes back around in OTAs and all this stuff. Charlie's probably my go-to as far as like updates on anything Bengals. If you don't follow him right now, please make sure that you do. Also, just cut on your TV if you're in the Ohio region or whatever. You can just watch him there as well. But I feel like on the Twitter, like the recap stuff, and even like your list that you posted today for people that don't have time like myself to watch all of those press conferences, I thought you do a really good job of breaking that down and kind of condensing that for people like me that just have a very low attention span.
No, man. Well, you guys are doing a lot of heavy lifting, so pat yourselves on the back too. And Ace, great to spend some time. Hope the hoops goes well in Orlando, and Zim, I'm glad things are going well at home too.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
All right, guys. Talk soon.
All right. Talk to you soon. That was Charlie Clifford with NBC5, man. Been really, really good. I think one time, Ace, you were out of town. I interviewed him by myself, I think. And then another time, I think he ended up on Pulse. I could be wrong, but he was on there one time too. So this isn't his first time being on the Wincy show or whatever. He was helping us out. I saw like he had a lot of stuff at Paycor today. So I just hit him up. I was like, hey, you want to come on today? And he was gracious enough with his time to like come on. So I really, really appreciate him. He's really been a good beacon of information from myself. So I always think that Charlie being on, here is really dope. And it's like another, I don't think he goes on that many shows, honestly, like that. So I feel like it's like another little spot that Cincinnati gets a chance to give you some direct connections with someone that's in the locker room with these guys every day.
No, for sure. I appreciated the insight that he had, and he was basically able to shed the light, like you just said. We're not there in the locker room, so him actually being able to check the tempo, because you kind of tell when somebody is BSing or what the vibes are. So him providing kind of that insight and everything, and everything leading up to the draft, I feel like he was pretty honest. He kind of talked about defensive line, so you have to expect that that's kind of the vibe right now when it comes to that. Bro, my bad. I should not have introduced him. That was my bad. But nah, I appreciate him stopping by, man, and chopping it up with us.
Man, I was just thinking, I feel like we've been doing a lot of draft cover stuff lately. I wanted to just have a conversation with you today and just talk to you about, like, what are the vibes? Like, what are you feeling off of hearing Tobin talk today, Zach Taylor talk today? I've seen a couple mocks today that had us drafting Booker at 17. I saw one that had us getting the kid from Texas A&M. I think his name's like Scouting. I can't stand them. What are your vibes today? Like, what are you feeling like is the direction of pick 17 right now?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because over the weekend I was doing some work with Prime, been doing it last week. Offensive line vibes, Kelvin Banks is the number one. It's funny that you mentioned Kelvin Banks, right? Kelvin Banks was the number one offensive lineman on Prime. That also brought my attention to other guys that may be later round possibilities. You talk about Miles Frazier. Josh Connerly is up there. I don't know, where Josh Connerly would be on their board, but other guys like Tate Ratledge. Tyler Booker is actually, like, he's not super high on their list. He's got a Prime grade of 3.90. This is on a scale out of 5. So Kelvin Banks is a 4.29. Tyler Booker's a 3.91. So take with that as what you will. Josh Connerly is a 4.05. So, the way that Prime works is it essentially goes off of the history of what the Bengals have done, but you also have to take into account where those guys should be drafted. So if you're talking about someone like Tyler Booker would have a first round grade, they actually would probably favor somebody like Connerly and even more Kelvin Banks over someone like that. I tend to feel like everything makes me feel like they're looking at the defensive line and something on defense, maybe even linebacker. I think, to be honest with you, unless it's a Kelvin Banks, unless it's someone like that, like maybe Booker, I think that they think about it, but I even think if Booker was there, they would go with the more premium defensive pick, and that could be, either a Mike Green, which Mike Green would be a little off the cuff for them because he's a small school prospect, so they haven't shied away from small school prospects in the second, third round, but they've never really done that in the first round, so you have to wonder what they would feel. And that's why I feel like Walter Nolan, a guy that played in the SEC, a guy that played at a Power 5 school, a guy that is in their range, they may consider. But you kind of brought up and you kind of talked about this. And if you guys aren't following the Wincinnati Twitter, make sure to follow that, because Zim put out a pretty good graphic that says they have not drafted a D tackle since Danny Wilkerson. The one thing I will say, though, is safety was like that for a while.
Man, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, safety. Dan Wilkerson, Danny Wilkerson.
Danny Wilkerson. Go ahead. I hadn't heard that one.
But the thing is, they were in a similar situation with safety a few years ago, because I remember being like, Bengals haven't taken a safety in the first round in a long time, and then they took Dax Hill. So is this a Dax Hill situation where they kind of go away from the norm of what they've done before? I just tend to feel like right now it's either one of those edge rushers, depending on who's there, which I think the Falcons are a team that you really have to worry about with Mike Green, right? I don't know if the Falcons, we're thinking that we haven't gotten edge rusher right. The Falcons have never gotten edge rusher right. So they definitely will be taking one. And for me, the guys that I just don't want, which he's high on Prime too, I hate to say it, Shamar Stewart, I don't want him, bro.
Yeah, I don't want him either. I feel like you just went through like 8 topics just now. Hold on. But
Yeah, I'm just talking about the players that are high
Yeah.
on prime and like the players that the Bengals could be looking at from the draft.
Yeah, I just I come back to the D line stuff. Tobin's comments today, and the fact that they haven't taken an interior defense alignment since 1994, right? Or 95, whatever, 30 years. Those two things. And then if you think about this, if you're the Bengals, this is what I've been kind of posing to everybody. Why would I sign? I wouldn't sign Slayton if I knew that I really would. I was walking out of there because, mind you, when they get on the clock at 17, Grant, Harmon, or Nolan, one of them going to be there. Like everybody knows that one of those three going to be there, and they probably known that for a while. I wouldn't sign Slayton, and I think you got to do it as an insurance policy. But I would probably wait on like a interior defensive line guy if I knew I was drafting an interior defensive line, like, or I was thinking about one that early. Now, this is like they might just be higher on Walter Nolan than what I think. I just don't see that. I did a graphic the other day. I was saying like only 6 defensive linemen in the first round since like 2006. Or something I put in our group chat or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that I like those guys a lot. I just can't. I don't know. I don't know if they would do that. And you just re-signed. So you just re-signed BJ Hill.
Mm-hmm.
You just drafted Chris Jenkins. You just drafted McKinley Jackson, and you signed Slayton. And I'm missing one. You got Sample that can kick inside. I feel like I'm missing somebody, but at least you got 4 as part of the rotation. And I think, remember when I first started telling you about Nolan, you was like, bro, why would you do that? And you got Chris Jenkins. Now, at the beginning of it, that was a long time ago. That was like months ago.
That I was saying that means that you're kind of admitting that Chris Jenkins wasn't really that guy. If you took him in the second round and you turn around.
What do you think his max is? What do you think is Chris Jenkins' max, though? Like,
I don't think his ceiling is higher than Walter Nolan. I think if they were in the same draft class, I think Chris Jenkins is kind of that Miles Murphy mode where he has the elite traits to be that, but he's not there right now. Like you have to wait for him to develop. He can develop into something great. And I think they talked about Miles Murphy today too, but I think that's where Chris Jenkins is. He has a higher ceiling, possibly if he can put it all together, but he just hasn't put it all together. So that's the only thing I think when it comes to him.
And see, it took him so early. So when you take someone that early and they're not hurt, you have to give them snaps. Just like I feel like one of the biggest detriments to Miles Murphy is not that I think that he's better than whatever. It's that they haven't used him enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't use a player enough, you don't get insight to see like, what do I really even need? You know what I'm saying? Like, I got intel on Chase Brown. I feel like he could use a little bit more in between the tackles, or I could use a stronger runner based off of the sample size of 2 years, as good as he is, for example, right? Or I know how good T. Higgins is, and I don't need to draft another wide receiver, for example. We don't really know what Miles Murphy. I think Chris Jenkins playing that many snaps. The sample size is pretty good. I think that at times he had to play out of position last year. It just puts me in a spot where I'm like, you can't afford to draft guys that early and then not play them. And so that doesn't mean that if you draft Walter Nolan that you don't get a chance to play him. But if you draft Walter Nolan, my main point is this, and it's the point of probably a lot of teams. Whose snaps are you cutting? Somebody's snaps got to get cut. There are like 300 snaps out there just for anybody, right? Because those are the Sheldon Rankins, whoever you know what I'm saying? Like any of the people that whatever. I think Slayton's going to get 400 or so snaps, maybe. You know what I mean? But like somebody snaps like BJ Hill, McKinley Jackson, Somebody's snaps got to get cut.
McKinley Jackson, like, so this is the thing. There's a difference between what there's a difference between Kenneth Grant, McKinley Jackson, Slayton that you mentioned, and guys like BJ Hill and somebody like Nolan. They don't like their nose tackles. So to me, when they signed Slayton, to me that told me that McKinley Jackson, they must feel like a little down on him because he's probably taking his role. But when it comes to that pass rushing role, which I think Nolan would fill, I think that you would have to reduce some of BJ Hill snaps.
Right.
And I think that because somebody just put it in here, like Chris Jenkins isn't really a pass rusher. He's more of a run stopper. They think that he has pass rushing ability because of his trait.
Right. He's got a good gut. He got a good get off. That's for sure.
Yeah, so I think if you do have Nolan, he's probably a guy playing on obvious passing downs. But to your point, he's still really a rotational guy.
Right. And that's not to say, I think day one, it's funny, I was in a conversation with a Commanders fan earlier, and I was asking about Johnny Newton. And he was like, man, he's tough, but I mean, he's so young, bro. Like, it's still like a lot he got to learn. And I was like, but bro, we ain't really had that on our team. He like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but he like, it takes time for that position too. And I think a lot of our fan base is like looking at a lot of guys that I think are really good, like a Jalen Carter, for instance, or somebody like that, and just saying it's just gonna happen. Like, and sometimes it don't just happen like that. And I think that's why that position doesn't get drafted a lot in the first round. Because the value is now catching up with it. Now these tackles are getting paid top dollar. So now the excuse of the money is no longer an issue, because normally you would be like, well, why would you draft that in the first round? Because a D tackle, you don't even have to pay him that much. So why don't you draft the edge so that you can get 4 years of cheap labor on the edge or a tackle? It's been the protocol for like the NFL. But now that these D tackles are getting paid big dollars, it's kind of changed that. And I feel that, but at the same time, what would be the difference? And somebody put the guy that I wanted to. Now, this is a very small sample size. What if the Bengals came back, and this is no guarantee that they could get this guy, but what if they came back and got a guy like a Omar Lott from Tennessee, who is just straight up pass rusher, like you're saying? You let Slayton, Jenkins, and company do most of the rundowns, and now you have your third down specialist interior rusher. To me, you could get that and then get like a premium tackle, because you need 2 guards. You could do that. Or in my case, I want Jahad Campbell. You have a premium player. Like we just talked to Charlie Clifford. He doesn't think he's going to be on the roster. They're really tight-lipped about it. All that. It just, the writing on the wall seems like Pratt's not going to be there. I feel like the Bengals, if we're calling them cheap, they're looking for like the first round player snaps, like in an absurd amount of snaps, like a starting guard or a starting edge that if Trey Hendrickson isn't on the roster, or a starting linebacker like a Jahad Campbell. Like that's what my gut is. Or the safety. The safety, I think the safety is really in play too, is what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Walter Nolan, and I think with the pass rushing defensive tackles, period, that position has changed. Like, this is no longer the time. Like, after Aaron Donald came through and shook us up and did what he did, when you talk to a lot of people around the league, most quarterbacks aren't worried about edge rushers. Like, obviously they are, but they feel like they can game plan for them. They feel like they can, as long as you can keep them away, I'm good. What they all say that they cannot take is pressure up into the pocket that pushes them back. And you've had these edge or these interior defensive tackles that are like the Jalen Carters, that are like the Kalijah Kansies, that are able to push the pocket. And it's really hard to find it. Like, some people try to get it, and everyone that they're looking for is supposed to be the next Jalen Carter, the next Aaron Donald, but it's really hard to find that. So I think the later that you try to get that, not saying that Norman Lott won't be good, I just think the chances of you ending up with that guy is how you kind of swing and miss, possibly. Like, when I don't want to say this because I don't want to make it seem like Chris Jenkins isn't that guy. But it's like when you don't get Kalijah Kancey, then you end up with a Chris Jenkins. And now you're in the next year of the draft again saying, I still need a one of those interior 3 techs that really is going to give me that push that I need. Like BJ Hill, I love BJ Hill. We cannot continue to rely simply on BJ Hill. And I think that that's the difference when it comes to him. The other thing I will say that I don't think he gets enough credit about is his ability to stop the run. So he is a guy, most of those guys that are like that, I'm going to be honest with you.
For sure.
Most of the guys like that really can't stop the run. But this is a guy that's shown, if you look at his run stop rate, that he can do it. But it's just, you got to know what you're looking for. Now, a team like the Rams, they've been able to get away with getting some of those guys in the 3rd, 4th round. But that comes down to your scouting department. Can you trust your scouting department to find those guys? Because I do agree with you. Like, if it is a situation where you know that you can get a Walter Nolan light or a guy with that kind of capability later on, then hell yeah.
It's a couple of guys that I really like.
Yeah.
I feel like that about
Bengals. They've done it before. They drafted Geno Atkins. It's just been a while.
See, this is the difference. If the Bengals didn't re-sign Osai, I wouldn't feel like you were talking about Mike Green and you got to watch out for Atlanta. Whatever. I don't feel like I'm not pressed for edge because I went and I know Osai might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I do know that he's a competent NFL player that has the ability to do some good stuff. Just like Miles Murphy is a good NFL. Like, these are not scrubs. You know what I'm saying? And Osai,
I don't think they scrubs, but
you want
they
more.
haven't shown me enough to be like, I'm passing. They haven't shown me enough to be like, I'm passing.
But this is the thing for me. Like, I think maybe this is me being safe, but I'm willing to just stack up. Like, I believe Sid Johnson could give me 200 something, 300 snaps, maybe, right? That you know what I'm saying? I know he's a competent rusher. I feel like a lot of people are looking for like this thirst of like the same way I'm looking for that at linebacker because I have the ability to go get the number one linebacker in the entire draft. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even close. They're like that. That's why I'm so gung-ho about it. That's why I felt like that about Jamar Chase. I literally feel like he's like the Jamar Chase of the defense. Now, the edge rusher is like, it's your cup of tea. And now, how like you might say Mike Gray too small for you. You might say Shamar Stewart has more of the frame that you're looking for. You might say Mikael Williams has more, you know what I'm saying, more production than. But that's how people look at the position, and we're all betting on prospects. And so to me, if I could just throw like darts at it at those spots, I think I would be good. Like, I think the kid from South Carolina is really good that people aren't talking about a lot. I also like the edge rusher from Louisville. I think his name's like Gilead or something like that. I don't know where he is on Prime. But to me, I would take bro and like, I don't know. I would probably take him in the 3rd. And I think he's going to give you impact day one. See, the Rams to me don't get like crazy, absurd edge rushers that everybody wants. They're scouting them out. They take older prospects, and then they just stack up these positions, much like how the Eagles just did. And that's kind of like, I'm looking for like leaders and playmakers. And I think that Nolan and them, they can make plays, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's kind of like a preference.
I mean, for where I'm at, I'm with Jihad, I'm with Walter, I'm with Mike Green. You know, where I'm not with them, and Ashton he's got a 3.88, so that puts him in the same, like right above Jack Sawyer, right under Nick Scorton, also under JT, who's pretty high. I just don't know, bro. Like when it comes to the Landon Jacksons and the Shamar Stewarts, like I think those are the guys that are like, and the Mikael as well. I think that those are the guys that are like, oh, they might be something like year 2, year 3, which nothing wrong with that. Like nothing wrong with having the Rashad Gary kind of trajectory where first season you don't see it, next couple of seasons he's a dog. I just don't have time for that. Like, that's why I'm with Jihad. Like, I don't have time to wait for some guy to develop. Like, even
Right.
though we talk about Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt, they did not come in day one, those guys. Like, we need somebody to come in day one and be a guy. And that's the only thing, like Charlie was talking about, he's not buying the whole we're not going to have a rookie starter on defense. And I don't believe that either. Like, if you draft one of these guys based off of how this defense is, like, I don't think our defense has been this wide open for a rookie to have an impact on it since, like, we drafted Keith Rivers, and he didn't live up to what he was supposed to be. But at that time, when we drafted and took Keith Rivers, the idea was he was going to be the face of the defense. So, like, whoever this person you guys are end up taking, they have to have that kind of impact. It can't be a guy that we're waiting for 2-3 years. We don't have the time. We don't have the time or the resources.
But what edge rusher? What edge rusher is clean?
Mike Green. Like, honestly, to me, Mike Green.
He's got a couple of issues that they're talking about as well.
Yeah,
like,
but
none of them.
What I'll say about him is he confronted it head on. He spoke about it at the combine when a lot of people thought he could take the easy road out and not say anything about it. So, and there's reports, we don't know if this is true or not. There's reports saying that the Bengals feel comfortable with taking him or Walter Nolan. So for me, the fact that he faced it head on, I think that speaks to it. But to answer your question, Mike Green, I even like Ezaraku a lot. Like, I feel like I would be very comfortable with trading back and taking Ezaraku in terms of somebody that's going to give me something right now. Yeah. But I'm going to be honest, it's a deep class. But outside of Abdul Carter, Mike Green, Ezaraku, I really don't feel comfortable about anybody else.
You know that Mike Green has the questions about his ability to stop the run as well. He's seen as strictly a pass specialist.
That is fine. I have Miles Murphy who can stop the run. So, like, if I just need to bring Mike Green in on third down, I don't have any problem. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that was one of Lou's, like, shortcomings is he didn't take the Philadelphia approach where you only bring those pass rushers in on third down. Like, we're not wasting time with trying to get them to stop the run. We're here to stop them. We're here to play them at what they're best at, right? Like, I even think back to the 49ers back in the day, Alden Smith, pass rush specialist. Alden Smith never played on first and second down, but he always was one of the top edge rushers because you just play him on third down. So I am somewhat excited that we have Golden now because I do think that he's going to use the personnel a little different, and we'll see more of those rotations instead of, I hate to say this because shout out to Sam for retirement, but we don't need to see Sam Hubbard on third down, my guy. Like,
you might get it. You might get him in Jack Sawyer. The Mike Green one, I'm with Mike Green. I just wanted to kind of challenge some of those points or whatever because I feel like none of those guys are, like, perfect. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, Jahad Campbell, to me, those three.
I think Walter Nolan is up there with Mason Graham. I don't think
Walter.
I don't think Mason Graham
is not that elite like that to be filling.
I don't think Mason Graham is the type of pass rusher or the level of pass rusher that Walter Nolan is.
Mike Green. There's another thing about Mike Green. I like him a lot. Him being in a 2-point stance all the time does raise questions about his versatility in the scheme too. So there's a bunch of things. I have to get to the super chat.
Go ahead.
Alma K too has sent in a super. Alamat has given me a GoFundMe for a new mic. If y'all been listening the last couple of weeks, my computer has been tripping. It's not my mic. I swear, it's my computer.
You're going to have to raise funds for a new computer, man.
For a whole new computer. So I was going to switch, but I ain't have enough time today. So I appreciate you. Thank you. Appreciate the super chat.
Yes, sir. But I mean, so you're not moving off Jihad? Like, you're not moving off of him for...
Under no circumstances. Even if Jihad was out for 4 weeks, I don't care. Because
so you're good because that's kind of nasty, bro. He's out for 4 weeks.
No, I was just saying that's like
worst case scenario.
Yeah, say that was the worst case scenario. Like, I don't care. I feel like
do we have 4 weeks to waste?
I do, because we went and got. See, this is what I did like about what the Bengals did. Them getting Burks, them having Shaka Hayward, and having Meta gives them an opportunity to do what they didn't do for Burton last year. Is like get them reps early in the season. Yeah, you're not going to be at full strength, but at least like now, I was reading a thing. I think it was the Eagles or something. They were talking about how they play their young players early and get them all battle tested. Actually, no, it was the Chiefs coordinator. He said when they drafted all them cornerbacks and stuff like that, he was like, the one thing he had to make sure is that they were going to be battle tested. So then when they got to the playoffs, everybody was on point. That's what I kept on saying about Lou. Like last year, he wasn't trying to play nobody. And so now that we got Golden saying, nah, we got to get it in. I think that's dope. And Jihad might come in as a quarterback specialist to chase down dudes. He might come in as a dude that's just blitzing. But I promise you, by the time that we get to the playoffs with that dude, he will be battle tested. One of his main things that he could do is call out plays and lead a defense. The Bengals have not had a top tier linebacker in forever.
Whoa. So we forgot about Logan Wilson?
I like Logan Wilson, but is he an enforcer? I'm about to knock your head off type of linebacker in the AFC North.
How did the Bengals get to the Super Bowl back in 2021?
Pratt and Wilson. Pratt not gonna be there.
You said Pratt not gonna be there? Yeah, Pratt's not there. Yeah. I mean,
bro, it's a big need, bro. Like guard. My list of needs, you tell me your list. My list of needs, we did this on Bleacher Report the other day. My list of needs, number one is guard. Then after that, it's linebacker.
Not for me. I mean, linebacker, like, and I feel this is my thing, bro. I just feel like the linebacker position, the time that we're playing in is a passing league. And that does give Jihad some value. But anytime you have any linebacker, I don't like Roquan is barbecue chicken in coverage. Like if you put him on a receiver or even a running back, he got beat by Najee Harris in coverage. The way that the NFL is shaped right now is all predicated towards the passing game. That's why corners are getting paid. That's why these defensive tackles are getting paid. That's why edge rushers are getting paid, because you have to stop the pass. Linebacker, to me now, if you have a rare one like Jihad, it's valuable, but it's not that high on the impact list in terms of a passing league. Like linebacker to me now is almost like running back. Like you can get a really good linebacker. Like we just saw Jack Campbell go in the second round, right? Jack Campbell went in the second round. You can still get a really good linebacker second, third round. You even have guys like EJ Speed. Sometimes you can get guys like that. Whereas I don't know if you could say the same thing with corner. I don't know if you could say the same thing with edge rusher.
I like our corners. I'm a homer when it comes to our corners. Yeah. I feel like CTB. I posted a graphic of him. His pass breakups in the last 2 years is at the top of the league with whoever you want to name.
Are they ready for that man coverage scheme that Al Golden is bringing in? Are they ready for that?
I think that's going to make them play faster. I really do. I think DJ Turner's going to be ready for that. I think Dax Hill's the one that I worry about a little bit more in man because of his ability to process what he sees. I think DJ Turner plays faster before he got hurt. I think we observed there are a lot of times where he's there, but he can't get the catch or he can't make the play on the ball, whatever. Back to Jihad real quick. I will say about Logan Wilson. Logan Wilson is a great cover linebacker. But when we're talking about the AFC North and when we're playing these teams, Joe Mixon, shout out to my dog. The influence of maybe how I feel about this is maybe through him. He talked about this before we played the Bills. He said the Bills linebackers are cool, but they ain't nothing like the Ravens. Y'all remember before that playoff game when he said that? Me talking to him gave me more perspective. He told me that he thought that Patrick Queen was the better linebacker between him and Roquan. And Patrick Queen, I said, why you? He said, bro, he runs up and down the sideline and he chases down everything. Roquan just filling all the, filling all the gaps and putting hits on it. And you're talking about somebody who is getting hit by both of these guys. And I just think that every team that has success against, think about right now what we're going into. Lamar Jackson got this 10-2 record against us. We're watching teams get linebackers that can ball. Like the Steelers don't, you know what I'm saying? Like they had a rut in 2023 where they didn't have good linebacker play. They went and drafted my boy Peyton Wilson. They went and added pieces and stuff like that. You have to have a competent linebacker, and they went and got Patrick Queen. You have to have a competent linebacker that can enforce, run, and be able to hit at the same time. Like it is like for maybe if we were in a different division, I wouldn't feel as strong about this. But for all these teams, they all have one thing in common. They have mobile quarterbacks and they want to be able to run. The Steelers are about to draft a running back right now. Logan Wilson isn't the guy that's going to be enforcing.
I mean, they just traded for DK Metcalf. I don't know if they're exactly.
They're trying to be like us
they
too.
Got
but
Pickens, they got. I mean, I get
that,
that, but the Ravens also have Kyle Hamilton.
But let me finish this thought real quick. So I'm saying that these guys are getting running backs to, in our division. They're trying to do that, keep their quarterback safe. At no point since I posted this, the Bengals drafted pick number 17, Brian Simmons. Remember, they had Takeo Spikes. They had 3 first-round picks. They went linebacker, and I said, for a minute, we had an identity. Right now, Logan Wilson missing games every season and being a coverage linebacker that can give me interceptions is really dope, and it's really cool. He's a smart player. I like him. He's a very valuable Bengal. But ain't nobody fearing Logan Wilson coming downhill, like hitting him. Jahad Campbell will be able to run down all these quarterbacks that are mobile when we go up against a Jalen Hurts or a Lamar Jackson. One of the things that Pratt was not good at. Pratt was good in coverage, as you pointed out. I don't think that Jahad is as good as in coverage or whatever. I will give you that. But I think he could get there to the point because he has the agility and the speed, and he also has an identity. And I think teams will run away from him. And I think they will be able to try to throw. And I think that will work in Logan Wilson's favor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, bro. I just think linebacker is cool. I just don't know what impact it has in a passing league now in this day and age. But Jahad, what I will say is he is a special kind of linebacker that could play safety, that could do some of those things that are more advanced for the modern day linebacker. So if they were to draft him, I wouldn't be against it at all. Yeah. But I'm
not against Nolan. Not against.
Yeah, I just for me, whatever the Bengals need to do on this defense to make it better. The pass rush has been bad. The secondary has not been good either. So even if they looked at safety, I'd be open to it. But yeah, whatever they choose to do, we're gonna find out on Thursday. So we'll see what they end up doing.
I know you were talking about Ashton Jeanty beforehand. Seeing the Bengals pick up the Zach
Jeanty is out. Nah, it's
but hold on,
crazy. Now that's crazy to me. The running back situation, to me, this running back class is so good. For them to say I'm keeping Zach Moss and putting my eggs in the Samaje Perine and Moss basket when you could really go out and pair Chase Brown with another guy that could just resolve your run game for the foreseeable future is crazy to me, because that's not like Zach Moss is not a long-term option. Like you extending him or keeping his other year that he has here, he's going next season. You keeping Samaje Perine, I'm not sure what that's really doing for you. We just saw that Chase Brown having to shoulder the majority of the carries is something that ended up getting him hurt. So to me, to trust it with a situation where Zach Moss just got hurt, Samaje Perine is respectfully an older running back. Like, why are we kicking the running back can down the road where in this situation, and I'm not saying draft him early, but if you're not thinking about taking a guy in the 4th or 5th round and you don't think that they have more upside than Zach Moss and Samaje Perine,
I was prepared. I was prepared to take a running back second or 3rd round.
I mean, if the value is there, because I feel like even though I just kind of came at running back, the one thing that it does help is it gives our defense more time to recover, right? It gives Joe the ability to try to control the clock. And if it's just Chase Brown, I just don't know why they want to put all of that pressure on Chase Brown. Like somebody like Devon just said, Damian Martinez. There is no way that you can tell me that Zach Moss,
Jaden Blue,
IJ Piron have more upside than these guys, because one of the best positions in this draft is running back.
I think that they're looking at this like a traditional workhorse Chase Brown, like what they've been doing. I think that they're going to say Chase Brown is going to get 80% of the carries, and P. Ryan and Zach Moss are just there to pass protect and give you 3-4 carries, the same way that they were doing with Mixon. And to me, I feel like that's outdated. So you know how you're talking about the running back position? That's how a lot of people feel about linebacker. And I think you'll see a lot of comments saying, like, why are we even talking about running back? And I think because of the positional value, that's a good, a good thought, right? I'm not here to say that you're wrong for saying, why would you want a running back? But I think that Chase Brown in that formula, I don't think he could play that. I don't think he'll last the 17 games. I really don't. And I think that if he were to go down, us rolling out P. Ryan or Zach Moss on a weekly basis now makes the Bengals even more predictable. And that's why guys like Judkins, Scatterbo, and all these dudes, Jaden Blue, Alfred, all these guys, all these running backs, you're hearing people talk about them because they don't want, in a scenario that Chase Brown were to go down, that we're left with a less than running back, and we just got like a game of P. Ryan. Like P. Ryan probably got 1 or 2 more years left in the league. Like that might be your starting running back. You know what I'm saying? So to take that off the board is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, that's.
And to me, them doing that today, I thought that signaled that they're probably not looking at running back early. I could see them taking a late running back for UDFA. But I didn't like that. I don't like that. I think I wanted the cap savings of the Zach Moss thing. I wanted to go get a better running back. And then have P. Ryan as like your insurance policy. And I think that people get so gung-ho on defense or offensive line that they forget you have to create a whole complete team that in the event that you're injured, you now have your next man up is literally a really good player. If your next man up is P. Ryan or Zach Moss, now your team that is now pass happy is super predictable. Nobody cares about checking P. Ryan or Zach Moss coming out the backfield like at all. So now you're making it harder on Joe Burrow, in my opinion. And that's why I think you'll see a lot of people split and saying, nah, we do need a better running back, because in the event that happens, look what happened to our D tackle room this past season. When those guys went down, look at the talent that was behind. That's how you create a team, and you got to do that all around the board. You can't skip anything, even the backup. If Browning wasn't there, I'd be saying, bro, we might want to look at one of these quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be like that on every single position. You cannot skip anything if you want to have a complete football team.
We literally just saw it this year with Khalil Herbert. Like I don't know, bro. Like, you could have looked at a Caleb Johnson. You could have looked at a lot of Damian Martinez, Trevion Henderson. I don't know. I mean, it's up to them, bro.
Yeah, so we got that. I thought we had I just wanted to be able to talk. We're going to have a show coming up before the draft, and we're going to do a draft special on the draft night, but I thought it was good that we just had a good conversation because we haven't really had a chance to. We've been talking Lakers and Timberwolves and stuff. We haven't really talked about like where you at.
Talking crazy trash, y'all. He been talking some cash.
It's not really trash. It's like a reality check to Lakers fans, because if y'all don't know, the Lakers fans are the new Chiefs. So the league handed them Luka like on some referee type stuff. And then they just believe that they're just better than everybody just because they have Luka, but they don't have a complete roster. Like, it's baffling. I don't know.
Hey, y'all need to talk to Nico, bro. Nico did his thing just like he botched the Steph Curry to Nike thing. He botched that trade. So, hey,
why didn't anybody else get an opportunity to get Luka?
What did you say, Cam? What is that? Hold on, we got a super chat here. It says 4-1. Man, like the
See, that's that cheat shit. That's that cheat stuff I'm talking about right there, y'all.
When did the Chiefs ever get Luka though? The Chiefs never.
They do. His name is Ron Tolbert. Ron told your situation like that. Ron told Luka is really Ron told. And what y'all gonna see in game 2 and game 3 is a whole lot of flopping. Here it comes.
Y'all tell him that Joe Burrow is Luka of the NFL.
Joe Burrow is
here to take over.
Anthony Edwards. Oh well, Anthony Edwards is Jamar Chase.
Anthony Edwards is Jamar Chase. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Lakers.
See, that's 5. The thing. These Lakers, y'all got watch it. I'm gonna tell you how cocky these Lakers fans are too. In the offseason, they're gonna be telling you about how they want to get rid of LeBron. You know what I'm saying? Like LeBron doesn't help them or something like that.
We're gonna tell y'all like we always told y'all. We're gonna get X player. We're gonna put them in the jersey. Unlike the Ravens fans, we actually get those players. We put them in the jersey.
Y'all about to have Joker and Luka playing.
It might be Joker, which is gonna be crazy for me because I'm not the biggest Joker fan. Like I'm not.
You gonna become one?
I don't hate him, but I'm not calling him the best player of the world. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not doing that. Well, I like Luka better than him.
Good thing for you, you get a chance. Good thing for you, get a chance to see the best player in the world tomorrow.
Who? Ant? Ant is an ant compared to Luka. That's what I'm telling you right
I'm so tired. See, that's what's up with you Americans. Y'all get so enamored in scoring that y'all just think that scoring is everything. Like, bro, don't play no defense.
Hey, man, I didn't see much defense from Ant the other night, man.
Oh, my God.
But, hey, before we get up out of here.
I really want to play defense when I put him on the ground. I had that boy breakdancing.
Midwest best barbecue.
G-Funk wings and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing. Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them hot honey lemon peppers. Now they call T. Higgins, or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. And much love to Mama T, Uno and CTB. MB's got Bengals wings, and now we just added T's. 9 to 5 winning things. Gritty for Uno wings. We say yes, Sirski now. Like Aces and be saying that T got them new wings. Only at MB's. Honey lemon peppers. Now you can call them T's. Honey lemon peppers. Now they call T Higgins. Or you say number 5s. Either way, you'll be winning. It's them honey lemon peppers. Now they call T Higgins. Or you say number 5.
That was nice. I ain't gonna lie.
669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Make sure that you stop in there and let them know Ace and Zim sent you, especially if you got a draft party or something like that. Definitely order some of those Midwest best barbecue wings. They are doing their thing. Y'all said that Ant is Xavier Worthy. That's nasty.
No, I like the Luka Mahomes joint. It's perfect. 2 floppers. Yep.
Nah, it's Joe Burrow, bro.
Perfect, bro.
Burrow. He's too
that's
Mahomes,
a perfect.
Yeah, nah, absolutely not. Mahomes already got a ring, so Mahomes would be what? That's like Jason Tatum. Mahomes is Jason Tatum, bro.
Why do you think the league sent them there to LA for y'all so you can get the ring? What's the number 1 selling jersey right now in the world?
It's Luka. I mean, what did you expect? It's Luka.
Bro, y'all are the new cheese. You're the cheese, bro.
He's been on the cover. I mean,
bro, Lakers fans are the new cheese, bro. Like they got watch. I'm gonna watch this game 2. I promise you. Watch the free throw disparity in game 2. They're not gonna let Luka flopper or whatever, bro.
Dropping 30 in game 2. Anybody had any questions? He's dropping another 30.
He's gonna drop 15 from the free throw line because they're gonna send him there.
Do people play defense in the NBA now? Do they play defense in the NBA now? No,
sure, but it's just
most superstars do not play any defense. Kyrie Irving does not play any defense, y'all. He plays 0 defense. Kyrie Irving is a cone on defense, and nobody cares because he's amazing on offense.
The Mavs roster though, they had some really good defenders though. Yeah, let's get back to this. Let before we close out tonight.
Yes, sir.
Because I just had to give people a little bit of insight of what's going on with basketball world too. But before we got like a week ago, I was feeling that it might be an offensive tackle at 17. let me ask you this 2-part question.
Mhm.
You feel like it's going to be defensive line first round, and also I don't know if you saw the news that the Eagles have been rumored to trade for a first round. I mean, trade for a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been rumored probably in the first round. They're more likely to do that than to move up or take the pick. And if 5 or 6 of the edge guys that they might are off the board, then do you think that maybe they send us pick number 32 for Trey Hendrickson?
The only way you're getting Trey Hendrickson is for pick 32. I think from the Bengals' way of seeing things, that's how they see it. That's the only way that you would get them to move up off of Trey Hendrickson. Is probably 32. If that is the case, I seem to feel like the Bengals would go offensive line second round. That's just my thoughts. I'm not saying inside information or anything. Jason Tatum is a J. Cole of basketball. That's crazy. I think
what does that mean?
Everybody wants
like
J. Cole to be the best rapper.
Rap beef?
Everybody wants J. Cole to be the best rapper, but nobody sees him as the best rapper. Everybody feels like there's somebody else that's better than J. Cole. So I could see it. And he's always like pressed to let everybody know he's the best rapper, but everybody doesn't feel that way. But back to the subject at hand. I think that the Bengals would take 32 for him. I do think that they would in that case. It would be interesting to see who they would pick. I think that they would have to, if you're moving off of Trey Hendrickson, you have to make every Bengals fan forget that. Because I think if Bengals fans see Trey go for 32, and let's just say they draft Tyler Booker, that's going to be a disaster if they do something like that. So it has to be somebody that makes the Bengals fans excited about it. It would have to be like you go and get Mike Green, and maybe, I don't know if people would be excited about Kelvin Banks, but it would have to be something like you got Will Johnson, you got Jahad Campbell, or you got two of those guys that like just have Bengals fans excited, feeling like they stole the draft. Like,
would you do
very
it?
Similar to the Joe Burrow, T. Higgins kind of duo. It would have to be something like that.
Would you do it? Would you push the button on pick number 32 for Trey?
Yes, I would. Do I think it's worth Trey Hendrickson, what he means to the team? No, but I think with where things are at this point, I think it's kind of messy. It's a little ugly. And if this thing cannot be resolved and I can get a first round pick for Trey Hendrickson, who even at best case scenario, well, I'm not going to say best case scenario, but I think like if he does the thing where he's like, oh, I'll just play for a year.
Oh, yeah.
I'd rather get that first round pick that I'm going to have there for 5 years, hoping that it amounts to something.
That's the part where I'm kind of turning to like player first. It'd be unfair to me to have Trey Hendrickson play for that salary. Like that,
right.
Like that.
I think they would have to give him a bump. It wouldn't be playing for that salary, but
then if you give him a bump, why don't you just extend him?
That's what my thoughts are, but I don't know what the Bengals. Well, I think you should just extend them. I'm not going to say what the Bengals should or shouldn't do or what I expect them to do, because the Bengals extended T. Higgins, and a lot of people said they wouldn't do that. So if you're going to extend Trey, I agree with you. Don't halfway extend him. Extend him. But yeah, if they're not going to do that, give me 32.
Yeah, give me 32, bro. Like, I just feel like I don't think the Bengals can give Trey what he's worth. I really don't. And I'm all about winning, and I think Trey gives you a better chance of doing it. I think a lot of people look at the Jesse Bates situation and say, well, Bengals ain't getting nothing from it. They did. They got an opportunity to go win a Super Bowl in the 2021 season with Jesse Bates and a first-round guy in Dax Hill. And remember, the following season, they went and signed Orlando Brown Jr. I know I'm in the minority with this thought process or whatever, but this is just how I see it. If they had Trey Hendrickson for the 2025 season, I wouldn't look at it like he walked away and they got nothing for him. They got a chance to have a dude that can help you win a Super Bowl that will probably go get 20 sacks if you put him next to Walter Nolan or any of these dudes we talking about, and that would be your best chance of winning a Super Bowl in 2025. If he walks away and gets a third-round compensatory pick, my next question was going to be like, would you take a second and a fourth? To me, if you were to say yeah to that, or anybody saying, yeah, just give me a second and a fourth, I know you get it right now, but that's not better than Trey Hendrickson in 2025. If Trey leaves in 2026, which I'm pretty sure he would, you're getting a third-round pick for it. So, like, I don't, so to me, it's like, that's why it has to be a first. And if it ain't a first, then it just doesn't make sense to me. But that was my line of thinking. I was always thinking Lions, Commanders, or Eagles this whole time. And I think that hearing Tobin and them talk about it, Tobin said, well, he's still here, and that's good, and dialogue is still open. He said that. Hopefully Trey's camp doesn't come out and say that that's cap or something like that. But I just don't want another offseason where they're going through BS and it affects the team. That's all and I think this is business. Like, so remember earlier in this whole thing, I was thinking mid, 20s for Trey. So now, it's working. Because now I'm like, yeah, I'll just take pick 32. It's not worth the headache.
Yeah, agreed. Make sure that you guys hit that like button, leave us some comments, let us know what you guys think about the show. Shout out to Charlie Clifford once again. Sorry for butchering his name there. Charlie Clifford, appreciate him for joining the Wincinnati pod once again. Make sure that you guys check out the Bengals post. They'll be going through a lot of different episodes and stuff like that over there this week. We'll also be doing the Cincinnati roundtable together on Thursday during the draft, so make sure that you tap in for that. And as usual, man, we will see you guys Wednesday.
Yeah.
Ace, he is